Hi, welcome to my video on more secant graphs. And the secant graphs, I'm going to graph by using the mapping rule. And you can check it, the trig 1 and the topic of sinusoidal functions, and it shows the sine and cos being graphed by the mapping rule. So let's do one of the questions we have here. Y equals 3 secant 2 times theta minus 90 plus 1. And so the mapping rule, this is theta and this is y. So this is theta here, so it's 2. So we take a half reciprocal of theta. Opposite of minus 90 is a plus 90. And we have 3 times y plus 1. 3y plus 1. That's the mapping rule. This is for the basic. And so the basic is theta and secant theta. And this mapping rule is for this equation here. So secant starts at negative 90 and it goes up by 90. Remember the period of secant is 360. So the increment changes is 360 divided by 4. So 90. So it goes up by 90, 90, 90. And the secant of negative, cos of negative 90 is 0. So 1 over 0 is undefined. So it's undefined every second one, undefined at negative 90, 90, 270. And the cos of 0 is 1, so 1 over 1 is 1. Cos of 180 is negative 1, reciprocal is negative 1. So that's the basic graph. So now we're going to do the mapping of that. Again, this is the basic table. Take a negative 90 plug here. Half of negative 90 is negative 45 plus 90 is 45. Put a 0 in. Half of 0 is 0. Add on 90. And just to explain, the increment changes. Now the increment changes for this equation here. The increment changes for this equation is the period of the function divided by 4. So the period of the function is 360 divided by 4. So we have the increment changes are the period of this function, got to be careful. So the period of secant is 360 divided by 4. So normally secant, you're adding 90 on, but the period of this function, the period is the period of the function, which is 360 divided by 2. So 360 divided by b, so it's 360 divided by 2, so the period is 180. So from here to here we have 180. So that means that if we take the period of the function, which is let's do it right, this is 180 divided by 4. You're going to get going up by 45. Now here we are. So the period of secant is 360. And in the secant graph, this is true. But in this equation, it's the period of tan. The period of secant. S-E-C, spell that. 360 divided by b. So it's divided by 2, 180. And then the increment on the table is the period of the function, which is 180 divided by 4 is 45. So this is going up by 45s. And add on 45. Add on 45. So if you take the 90 and sub in, you get a 45 plus 90, 135. 180 sub in. Half of 180 is 90. 90 plus 90 is 180. So it's undefined at negative 90, so it's undefined at 45. Undefined at 90 is undefined at 135. 270 is undefined, and 270 has to be just by the working of the numbers. 270, add on 45, so that's a 2 there here. Add on 45 is a 225. 270, half of 270 is 135. 135 plus 90 is 225. Now let's look at just this table. Because this continues on, so we got a 45, 90, 135, 180, 225. So it's undefined at 45, vertical asymptote. Undefined at 135, vertical asymptote. Undefined at 225, vertical asymptote. And at 90, now let's put in 1. 3 times 1 is 3, plus 1 is 4. Put in negative 1. 3 times negative 1 is negative 3, plus 1 is negative 2. And so this is positive, so it's, and this side is opening up, and this side is opening down. So at 90, which is here, it starts at, there's a 5, starts right here at 4, and it goes up towards, so this is asymptotes. It goes, as the closer and closer you get to 135, the higher this goes up. The closer you get to 45, the higher this goes up. It's going to infinity. And at 180, we got a negative 2. Negative 2 is here, and it's going reverse direction, like this. There it is. And if you draw more vertical asymptotes, then the period is, again, the period is 360, and the increment changes. The period is, for this graph, that's the period for, the period is, for this graph, this is for the equation up here, is the period of the function, or let's see, the period of, I should say, this is the, let me do it right, period of secant divided by b. So the period of secant is 360 divided by b is 2. So that makes it 180. Gotta be careful, can get confusing. The increment changes is the period of the function divided by 4. The period of the function is 180 divided by 4. So the increment changes are 45 in the table, as we can see. So the period of this equation, the period of secant is 360, but the period of this equation is the period of secant divided by b. And the increment changes is the period of the function, which is 180 divided by 4, 45. Gotta keep that straight. It's easy to make a mistake. Here we go, another one. Y equals negative secant of theta plus 60 degrees minus 2. So this is theta, and this is y. So right here, this is a 1. So we got a 1 times theta is theta minus 60. The reciprocal of 1 is 1. And right here we got a negative 1, so it's a negative y minus 2. And the table of values for, this is the basic secant, is you got a negative 90, 0, 90, 180, 270. Because the period of secant is 360. And so 360 divided by 4 goes up by 90s. And at negative 90, it's undefined. It's undefined at 90, undefined at 270. This is 1, this is negative 1. The cos of 0 is 1, reciprocal is 1. Cos of 180 is negative 1, reciprocal is negative 1. So we got a theta minus 60, negative y minus 2. So we put in negative 90 in here, we get a negative 150. We put 0 in here, we get a negative 60. So notice it's going by 90. Put 90 in here, or sorry, right here or here to make a difference. 90 minus 60 is 30. Again, notice it's going up by 90. So this should be a 120. And this should be going up by 120. And this is, add on 90 is 210. So you put 90 in here and get a 30. 180 in here, you get 120. 270 here, you get 210. Now, is undefined at negative 90? Is undefined at each of these here, opposite. Undefined at 270 is undefined at 210. Undefined at 90, undefined at 30. And this is a 1. The negative of 1, negative 1 minus 2 is negative 3. And you got a negative 1. The negative of a negative 1 is 1. 1 minus 2 is negative 1. So, negative 150. So we make this a 45. Negative. Negative 90. This is a negative 135. This is a negative, we're adding on 45. This is a negative 40. Well, we're saying 45, but it's really 150. They're all 30, so it's not 45. Sorry about that. Let's see. Looks like we have 30s. So let's go with 30, 60, 90, 120. Add on 30 is 50. Add on. So here we go. We have them all, because there's all 30s in here. So this is a negative 30. This is a negative 60. This is negative 90. Negative 120. Negative 150. Because they're in 30s. And the period, if you think about it too, the period of this function is the period of secant divided by b. So the period of secant is 360. B is 1. So the period is 360. And the increment changes are the period of the function divided by 4. So 360 divided by 4 is, divided by 4, you get a 90. So it should be 90 between these, correct. And so at negative, is undefined at negative 150. Undefined at 30. And undefined at 210. So from negative 150 to 210 is 360. And right in the middle, we got a negative 60 right here. Is a negative 3. 1, 2, 3 right here. Negative 60 is a negative 3. And notice it's negative. And let's do the 120 where we get a negative 1, which is right here. And so what happens, this is flipped over, so it goes down like this. And right here is up from 1, negative 1, sorry. Normally, if you think about it, the secant graph is, think about it, I'm just drawing a secant graph at random here. It's normally like this and like this when secant is positive. So it's up here, down here. But because this is negative, it'll be down here and up here. It's reflected. Sorry about those few little mistakes here, but you could do 45, but I wanted to do all 30s to fit it in with the vertical asymptotes. So again, when secant is positive, it's up here, down here. And now, when this starts, it's down and then up. It's reflected. And if you like my video, this is the end of this video. Click on the like button if you like it, and click on the subscribe button. Visit my math website, www.mathfullyexplained.com. find more information about me, my videos, the content. Content on my YouTube channel called Math Fully Explained, which is one word. Thank you for viewing my video. Hope the video helped you. Bye-bye.